And nobody from Maine leading a team to a championship, I'll tell you that.
You don't believe in the lobsters?
I love lobster.
Stick tock. 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 Stick tock.
And
Hockey.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back, everyone. This is episode 102 of Stick Talk Hockey. As always, I am your host, Tico. This is my co-host.
I'm yours, Trilly.
Over there, we got our producer.
Producer Jay.
And we're here with 102. No more, like, fancy numbers, you know? We passed 97, 1 and 2. We passed 99, the great ones. We passed 100, and we passed Hockey 101. Now we're just in a new era of Stick Talk, the hundreds.
And I'm really excited to ring it in. It feels like a fresh slate. And I was going through some of our like earlier, podcast episodes, and we really hit our form. Like I was like, damn, we came a long way. I went back to episode 1. I went to like 15 and 30, and you could just see it like forming.
Yeah, 100%.
It's kind of beautiful. I was really proud.
It is a cool thing. Like, we really have a good flow now. Like, we come in here every week. People don't know, but we come in here every single week, and we start getting everything together pretty chill. We get the puck doku going. We do a team puck doku, try and get the nastiest numbers we can come up with, recap the week, have all the notes ready, and, like, we really just, like, we kind of have some things down now.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like we have a really steady system. We get everything bounced and exported like right after the episode.
Yeah. It makes the whole thing more enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just been a blast. Like I look forward to it, even though we record it like, what is it? 12:19 a.m. on a Sunday morning.
It currently is legitimately the middle of the night.
I'm so here for it. Like I love it. I love my midnight drives. I love the midnight recordings. Like
me too. I mean, like, I just got off work, just did a whole long shift. I'm battling a little bit of a cold right now.
Flu game, MJ flu game.
And I couldn't be happy to be here. Let's get it.
Let's get it. And beautiful shirt again, by the way.
Thank you. Got the Canadian Pride going today. Some more stuff you can find on the Stick Talk website. That's sticktalkhockey.square.site. You can find this shirt and many others. Let's get into it for this week. We have a whole lot of stuff to get into. The GM meeting, that whole thing happened. Bettman said, I ain't leaving. And we found out some pretty cool expansion stuff. Looks like they have a guy for Houston now.
And he's been very active.
Yep. So it looks like that's getting closer to happening. We're also hearing that there's some very productive calls around New Orleans, whatever you prefer, I suppose. Does that excite you?
That excites me a lot, honestly. Like, I think New Orleans would be so fun. There's so much like culture there that they could wind into hockey and have this like wonderful bridge, the way we saw Vegas wind in their culture with the showmanship and like what do they have, like the Cirque du Soleil? Like they have some of those like performances. Like it was just a really cool show that they put together.
It really was. And I mean, even since then, like the other two expansion teams we've seen, or I guess Utah's not an expansion, they're a relocation, but we've seen Seattle and Utah do a good job of like sinking their teeth into the city.
Absolutely, and becoming like a valuable part of communities and really buying into the local communities around them in all of the different aspects.
And I think that's what a lot of the previous franchises really had a hard time with during expansions and relocations.
Absolutely, and that's kind of why I have some faith in a new Atlanta team as well eventually.
Same.
I think that we're in a place in sports management and in hockey culture where we're seeing the viral sensations starting to bleed into the NHL. We're seeing Chapel Roan was the NHL theme song for tonight's Hockey Night in Canada.
Yeah.
That's kind of huge. Like they have their finger on the pulse of what's going on and what's hip and happening this very second.
Who would have thought? Yeah. No, I know. You got to give them a little bit of flowers for it.
Modern thinking is in, and modern thinking teams are thriving. So you have to imagine that if someone's ready to put money down in Atlanta, they're ready to move with some forward thinking and be aggressive in the community and in really cementing themselves.
100%.
Same with Houston.
Same with Houston, for sure.
And I really like the aspect of a Texas rivalry. I think that there's so much beef to be had there.
Yeah.
Like Houston and Dallas, those cities go at each other's throats.
100%. No, that'd be a lot of fun to watch for sure. Do you think they have to expand the playoff format then?
No. Get good.
Really?
Yeah.
It'll be the first time in league history that less than half the teams make the playoffs.
Yeah, get good. I don't know what to say.
Intriguing.
I don't think that like half the teams should make the playoffs. I think that half of the teams are still ass. They're just bad.
Yeah.
I think that the playoffs should be an honor, a privilege, and I think that sometimes we see teams skate in that don't necessarily deserve it.
That's fair.
The Washington Capitals last year, and praise be to them for their turnaround this year, absolutely phenomenal. But they set an NHL record for the salary cap era for negative differential
that
making
made it.
playoffs.
Yeah.
With -37.
And I mean, the wild card 2 in the East this year is going to be garbage again.
Exactly.
Oh.
I mean, like, it's been a slugfest already. The Rangers made us look stupid since last week. We're like, oh yeah, the Rangers could definitely pull it off, and since then
they've looked horrific.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a dang shame. I think they need to adopt a plan. I really just do.
I don't like it. I think that just get good. If they expanded more, then yes, but I don't know. I don't think that half the teams need to make playoffs. I don't think they deserve to make playoffs.
I think that's fair. That's a reasonable take. I think the league needs a play-in kind of either way, in all seriousness. I think it adds more weight to the regular season, but we could dive into that another day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that like exploring like a sudden death or a best of 3 would be a really fun and interesting penalty for the wild card 2 and like the team outside perhaps.
That's what I mean. Like I think that would like creating another kind of barrier to leap over once you're in a playoff spot would make it more exciting to watch good teams right now.
And I definitely think you would see less of the upsets if, like you say, I don't know, for example, Columbus and Tampa.
Sure.
Like, if Columbus has to do a play-in and that goes to an overtime and they just squeak it out, and then they have a Tampa game 2 days later.
Right.
Do you think that they're going to come in with the same steam?
Exactly, right? It adds that rest element. That's really important as well.
Yeah, and it kind of makes making the playoffs in your division
more important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Next up, I want to talk a little bit about the salary cap, just briefly.
Okay.
You know, the reports have obviously been that the cap's going up this year. That seems to be confirmed. But then it's like the next 4 years, Gary seems to be saying that it's going to be going up a ton year over year. We've all kind of lived off of that idea. And it looks like some crazy contracts are about to get handed out in the summer. You know, Mitch Marner's going to make at least $13 million a year. And I think as a whole, we're going to see contracts go way up. The one thing I'm a little bit concerned about is will the cap actually keep going up?
I don't know. I'm not like an economist.
That's what I was going to say. I'm not an economist either.
But it would be really interesting and kind of entertaining to watch teams scramble to sell off their assets.
Yeah.
If they bought in too hard to the cap going up over the next few years.
For sure.
Like, I would like, as a fan, I would like to assume that it keeps going up for the next 4 years.
Of course, yeah. It'd be great for the game.
It's kind of a weird take. I know they, like, whatever. Hockey players don't get paid enough. They just freaking don't.
I agree.
Like,
we've been over that.
Yeah, we've been over this.
Yeah.
This is a players podcast, and like I know there's a ton of people out there that have that boomer ass take of like, oh, you're playing the game you love, and you like da da da. No,
yeah,
it's not guaranteed.
Yep.
It's not like your paycheck that just comes in every 2 weeks, and you're gonna have a retirement fund and benefits and da 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 da.
For sure.
They have like a premium time to make the money that will support them and their family for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And they deserve to get paid for the hard work, dedication, and effort they put in.
I agree. It's one thing if you want to be like, anti-capitalist and be like, no one should ever be a millionaire. Sure, I can hear you out on that take. I have no problem with that take. But when you are talking about, just athletes making too much money, I just simply believe if you're in that percentile of whatever industry you're in, you deserve to be a millionaire. Doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you're in that 0.0001% of all people who do it, you should be a millionaire.
Absolutely.
Particularly when it's a career that you had to start doing at 5 years old and dedicate your entire life to.
Absolutely. The sacrifice is immeasurable. The amount of time they spend on the road, away from their family, in the gym, like the toll it takes on your body, like these
and your
things,
brain.
Absolutely. Like these are things that like you don't think about. And on top of that, the whole, doctors deserve to be paid, more than athletes.
Sure.
They do. They absolutely do. You just don't hear about it. No one's publishing like a memoir or an article about the doctor that just signed a $6.4 million contract to do brain surgery.
That's exactly what I mean. Like that percentile of doctors that are that good at their job are also millionaires.
Yeah. Those hospitals make billions of dollars every year.
Yeah.
They get paid.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Promise.
Just because your friend who's a nurse gets paid a nurse's salary.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want?
Yeah. Well,
go back and get your master's, and then go back and get your.
Let's just say, like, I'm a standard hockey player, and I don't get paid for it. Not, like, it's just like.
I pay to play hockey.
Yeah, if you're just normal at doing a thing, you don't get paid millions of dollars. But if you're the most elite human being on planet Earth at it, then yeah, you will. I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know. I like you said, no economists in this room. That's for sure. All I know is we're in a bit of a trade war right now. We've heard, Canada and the USA, of course. We've heard Gary Bettman already say that it might impact the NHL. And again, I'm no economist, but my stocks are just falling apart every single day. And so I don't know. I'm looking at this and then looking at Gary saying the cap's going to go up every single year and we're going to be making just money hand over fist. I'm going, are we sure about that? Maybe be a little bit careful in the off-season teams. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I'm actually more so concerned about like just the relations between Canada and the US in general.
Yeah.
And what immigration might look like for some of these players over the next like few years. Like we've heard some of the horror stories about Canadians traveling through the States already. Detained by ICE, locked away for like 11 days in a jail cell. Like
it's really interesting. Like as a Canucks fan, I've been talking a lot about go for Mitch Marner this offseason. And every time I've brought that sentiment up, I've been met with, well, if Marner's leaving Toronto, he's not going to want to stay in Canada, right? He's going to want to go to a low tax state, whatever it is. He's going to go to Florida. He's going to go to Vegas, something like that. My thoughts on it are, well, he likes Toronto. He's made that abundantly clear, and he feels as though they've slighted him a little bit by asking him to waive his no-move clause. And if he likes Toronto, why would you not maybe want to stay in somewhere like Toronto? And Vancouver's kind of close. I don't know. I just think maybe we can't discount the fact or the notion that maybe over the next couple of years, there will be Canadian players who don't want to move to the United States of America.
That's very valid. I totally wouldn't. Like,
we know how most American players feel politically. I understand that. That's not the point of this. But just with tensions rising and the way we get the media about the Americans to us here, I wouldn't be shocked if we, over the next couple of years, hear some Canadian players, maybe not say it, they wouldn't say it publicly, of course, but see some Canadian players stay in Canada because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you would never hear about it until like, a podcast episode 35 years from now, or like a tell-all book when they're just trying to milk the last little bit of retirement. Yeah. But
Mitch Marner, if you sign in Vancouver, you're welcome to come on here and say that's the reason why.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome to just come on here and call us a bunch of idiots too.
Of course,
it's Mitch frickin' Marner. Do whatever you want, buddy.
100%.
Make yourself at home.
So the other thing they talked about at the GM meeting was the All-Star Game. All-Star Game, tough spot for the NHL right now. They don't want to do it again, really, after this massive Four Nations tournament, but you also can't really do something too crazy with the Olympics right there as well. I don't know what they do for next year, but ideally they're looking to do another Four Nations type thing in 2028, a World Championship. So I think for 2027, I have an idea.
Okay.
So shout out to on Instagram at the fucking show, because they started posting a couple lineups and that's what gave me this idea.
Okay. I'm here for it.
A hometown battle. A battle of provinces and states.
Interesting.
Rather than uniting the entire country and having just, this super team Canada and this super team USA, I think more important than having the best on best, because we'll get it in 2026 and in 2028. We don't need best on best every single year. That waters it down. But we still need fans to have a reason to cheer for it and care about it. And so I have here 3 states and 5 provinces. So 8 teams total.
Okay.
Team Ontario, Team BC, Team Quebec, Team Saskatchewan, Team Alberta. And then down below, Team Michigan, Team Massachusetts, Team Minnesota.
Okay.
Now, again, you don't want it to be best on best. We're getting best on best hockey.
Yes.
But you want fans to have a reason to watch. And tell me Team Ontario versus Team BC wouldn't be extremely viewed in Canada.
100%. That's such a good idea. I would love that.
And then on top of that, you get a couple of the American states in there. They're really the only American states that would have enough players to ice a full roster, right? So Team Michigan, I have here, you have Kyle Connor, Dylan Larkin, DeBrincat, Jason Robertson, Josh Norris, Brian Rust, Dakota Joshua, Andrew Kopp, Paul Cotter, Max Sasson, Tyler Mott, Michael McCarron, Werenski, Waugh, Martinez, Trouba, Cole, Chatfield, Hellebuck, and Net. I mean, that's a nasty team.
That's a hell of a team, honestly. I'm kind of shocked that Michigan's that stacked.
And you tell me these players wouldn't be amped to put on their home states or home provinces jerseys. You get to make some really cool, unique new jerseys out of it too.
Absolutely, and draw inspiration from the bigger hometown teams that they may have already championed or cheered for.
Yeah, exactly.
How cool would a Michigan State jersey be, with the bright yellow?
Right.
We talked about it earlier this year.
I'm saying, and then you might still get a little bit of that Canada USA rivalry if a team from each goes the distance.
Absolutely. I would love to see a Michigan and Ontario battle, honestly, across the pond.
Yeah.
That'd be really fun.
So I'm going to run through the rest of these lineups here. You tell me which team you think would win, and comments, same to you. Let me know. We'll finish off the American teams here. Team Massachusetts, right? Team Boston, basically. You got Matt Boldy, Jack Eichel, Connor Garland, Chris Kreider, Coyle, Vetrano, Will Smith, Adam Gaudette, Matty Beniers. Wouldn't that be a fun line? Kevin Hayes, Connor Sheary, and Wagner. Not the most fun line, but that's okay. Noah Hannafin, John Carlson on the backhand up top. I always forget how to say his dang name. Jay, can you help me out with that?
Matt Grizzlick.
And Harris. Thrun and Shea, not the best bottom pairing, but you know what? They're fine. Joey DeCourt in net. You got Comesso backing him up. Not a bad team there either out in Boston. I don't think they're as good as Team Michigan, but they're not bad.
No, yeah. I mean, it's not nearly as knock your socks off, but I mean, they still got some
hard to play against.
It's a legitimate NHL team.
Yeah. And then we got Team Minnesota. Team Minnesota is going to have some problems, don't get me wrong, but the fans would love it. The place would love it. You got Anders Lee, you got Brock Nelson, and Brock Besser up front. A whole lot of Brocks going on up there. You got Bugstad, Middlestat, and Bobby Brink on the second line. Noah Cates, Novak, Lizotte on the third. Joey Anderson, Boyd, and Poling down on the fourth line. They're going to struggle in those minutes a little bit. You got Shea and Brock Faber on the backhand. Ryan McDonough and Falk on the second pairing, Schmidt and Mikey Anderson on the third pairing, and you got Jake Ottinger and Charlie Lindgren as your 2 goaltenders.
I hate to say it, but this team would get dog walked.
It's very possible.
But if they held a game in Minnesota,
yeah,
instant sellout.
That's right. That's right. So now let's go up to Canada, and we'll start off with which team? What should we start off with there?
Let's run from the top.
Let's go from the top. Let's start with the big dog, Team Ontario. Yeah, I got McMichael, McDavid, and Marner on the top line.
It's fun to say.
That's a whole lot of mix going on. We got Strome, we got Thomas, we got Scheifele on the second line. We got Sorelli, Bennett, and Konechny on the third, and Marchment, Rodriguez, and Tom Wilson pulling up the back end of that.
That's disgusting.
Disgusting. Back end, you have Jake Wallman and Dougie Hamilton. You got Owen Power and Brendan Montour. You got Vince Dunn and Alex Pietrangelo on defense. Oh, baby.
Off.
And then you got Canada's goalie himself, put him on the $50 bill, Jordan Binnington, and net. Mackenzie Blackwood backing him up.
Woof. That is a stacked team.
Now,
whole lot of mix too.
Yeah.
Makes me happy.
For real.
Welcome to McMartyr's. Can I take your order? Put the goals in the bag, miss.
Just put the goals in the bag. Now, Team BC. Team BC, I think, is going to give Team Ontario a run for their money. I know that I'm a BC boy. I got a little bit of bias, but Michigan, Ontario, you better watch out, because up front, Celebrini, Bedard, Sam Reinhart.
Buckle your frickin' seatbelts.
Buckle your seatbelts. You got Kent Johnson, Matt Barzal, and Zach Benson on the second line.
Juicy.
You got Jamie Benn, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Logan Stankoven on the third line. And then you got
stank on it.
Stank on it. You got Kerfoot, you got Danton Heinen, Stick Talk favorite, and Rasmussen on the fourth line.
Yes, sir.
And you know what? Replace that Danton Heinen with Gavin McKenna, because we're talking about 2027 here.
Facts. Wow.
On the back end, Devon Tays and Shea Theodore, Morgan Riley, Bowen Byram, and then Dylan and Barry wrapping it up with Aiden Hill and Tristan Jarry backing him up.
That is some nasty stuff there.
BC's been cooking, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, we produced a lot of goalies recently too.
Yeah, we have. Next up, we got the French. Team Quebec. We got Jonathan Huberdeau, Pierre-Luc Dubois, and Anthony Mantha on the top line. Duran, Lafreniere, and Marchessault on the second line. Woo! Duclair, Deneau, and Perron on the third line. Yanni Gourde, Goudreau, and Waugh on the fourth line.
That's a mean team.
That's a mean team right
That's
there.
a meat and potatoes, grit your heart out type of freaking team.
100%. They got Chabot and Letang on the back end, followed up by Mike Matheson and Girard, Benoit and Lazon on the final pairing, and then a little bit of a tandem there between Montembeault and Fleury.
Which would be so fun to see, like the youth with the old man. See how that pans out.
Tell me, tell me, Team Quebec, when those fans wouldn't go insane for this tournament, dying hard for Team Quebec.
Oh, absolutely, they would die to see that baby blue jersey worn again.
You'd sell 1 million of those jerseys.
The Lafleur.
There's not even 1 million of them there.
Nope, they would buy 2 of them though. One would be going in a shadow box, and the other one would be going to every Montreal game forever.
That's right. They'd be handing them down to their grandchildren.
Yeah, absolutely. And I gotta say that those D pairings, that's a little bit tough. That's a little bit.
It's a little bit rough.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Not knock your socks off caliber the way that we were seeing over in Team BC and Ontario and even Michigan.
Yeah, for sure. Next up, Team Saskatchewan, Brendan Hagel, Chandler Stevenson, and Schwartz on the top line. You got Connor Zary, Sillinger, Eberle on the second line, Tanner Jeannot, Braden Shen, and Beckman on the third line. And then you got Lind, Habig, Johnson on the fourth line. Following that up, you're going to have Braden McNabb and Schneider on the back end, starting it off there. Defense gets pretty light after that. You got Allen and Korzak, and then you got Luke Shen and Paschal. You got Darcy Kemper and Charlie Lingwood, though, in net.
It's a steady set of goaltenders. I appreciate that.
And you know what? You know the thing about the Saskatchewan boys, they ain't easy to play against.
No, and you know what? Saskatchewan's got a ton of juicy draft stock coming up in the next few years.
That's true.
You could very easily replace Hebig with Jaeger.
Yeah, 100%.
Saskatchewan boy. Reshny is a Saskatchewan boy.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure.
Interesting.
Yep.
All right, last one up here. We got Team Alberta. Taylor Hall, Braden Point, Dylan Gunther up top. Oh, baby. Jake DeBrusk, Dylan Holloway, Kirby Dock on the second line, Jake Neighbors, McMahon and Steele on the third line, Grieg, Rempe, and Gallagher on the fourth line.
Barf.
Josh Morrissey and Cale Makar, ever heard of him, on Team Alberta. Caden Gooley and Colton Pareko on the second pairing. Middleton and Spurgeon on the third pairing. That D group is a problem. And then you got Stuart Skinner and Logan Thompson in that. That Team Alberta is nasty.
That D is I'm short of words of it because wow, woof, that's a team.
Yeah. Who do you think's winning that tournament?
I'm gonna show some BC pride. I'm going Team BC.
Same.
I feel like that's a fast team. They might not win the battles. They might get pushed around physically a little bit.
Sure.
Also, I have some money on Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan would go far.
I have a lot of players I just have a soft spot for on that Michigan team. So.
For sure. Jay, what do you think? Do you like the idea?
I don't know. Well, it's just like it's definitely not going to happen.
No, it's definitely not going to happen. That's factual.
Honestly, my biggest takeaway is like we do not need Saskatchewan here.
No.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean,
that's fair. We could probably take out Saskatchewan and
to be fair, in 27,
Minnesota.
Saskatchewan will have
some higher end players.
Yeah, some higher end talent. I can say that they have been putting out some very good players.
I kind of do feel like it just I almost feel like it wouldn't work as a tournament because like you said, like we're not trying to do best on best every year.
Right.
So like if this is the replacement for the All-Star Game, like it's still like McDavid still has to go out and like play. I don't know. I guess just kind of like I feel like it's BS for like the top end players.
Right.
And then you're just inviting like Dan Heinen.
Yeah.
I don't know. But what I do feel like would be kind of cool is like if there's just like one game for each team. Like if Team BC played Team Alberta.
Right.
Like I'd want to fuck them up.
Amen.
Same with like Ontario, Quebec, or like Ontario, Michigan.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, it's a cool idea for like a one-off game, but like I don't think this tournament would be serious at all.
I think that's valid. You're probably right. It doesn't need to be a full tournament, but I think even if you just did one game.
My counter offer. We scrap the All-Star Game and we give the majority of the NHL players their time off. But we invite the best prospects from every team to fill an East and West. So it's like the Premium Prospects Showcase Challenge. I'm talking about like your first round picks from like every team.
Yeah.
Every guy, like there's some guys right now that are producing like, 15 in their last 10,
For
9
sure.
in their last 5. Like
For sure.
They're putting up points. And wouldn't it be so exciting to see like if we had that already, we could be seeing like Brendan Yeager, Perek, Yakimchuk.
Yeah.
Like we would see all these guys out there on one surface at the same time.
I would love to see that.
That'd be really sick, right?
My only question logistically is like, how do you get them away from their actual teams for it?
I mean, the CHL managed to do it basically. They had a prospect showcase this year to replace their what would be All-Star Game, and it went really well.
Right.
And it also produced some really solid media because they had them all in the room and, they were doing TikToks together and rating stuff. And
I think you could probably get it done with the CHL, no problem. WHL, OHL, all of that. The only place you'd probably have issues with that is like when we're talking about players in the SHL and the KHL and things like that.
And obviously those guys would probably sit out, and that's fine.
That's
but
fine.
I mean, like,
but
it's
still, you'd get most of them.
And you could also like, but when I say most NHL players, like if you have like you could make it a U23 tournament, and then like all of your guys that are the Leo Carlsons, those guys that are in the NHL,
right?
They're gonna be hungry to prove
right
that they got it.
I love that.
and it would be a much faster paced tournament.
I like it. I like it a lot. We're cooking at Stick Talk today. Speaking of McDavid sitting out, he is right now, currently sitting out. Woof.
Tough for Edmonton fans. Draisaitl out too?
Yeah, both of them going to miss at least a week. Their lineup tonight, oh boy. Puckholzen, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Victor Arvidsson. Skinner, Henrique Hyman, Perry, and Mark Brown. Jones, Ryan, Kapanen is the forward group they iced against the Seattle Kraken. And somehow they beat them.
I mean, it's the Seattle Kraken. I wasn't like... I saw a bunch of people doubting Edmonton, and I was like, even with this absolute dog water lineup, Seattle's been so horrendous.
Yeah, they've been awful.
And once again, they were horrendous. They had holes like a shot up bucket. It was pretty tough to watch. They made it a game at the end. But I don't know, like Edmonton still has enough talent to beat the dog water teams.
Yeah, 100%.
In any other situation, I would definitely say uh-oh as well. In this one particular case, yeah, they beat Seattle. Wasn't moved. It doesn't mean that they're saved.
And it's the best time to miss a week, right before the season's done.
Absolutely. Unless you're a fantasy manager, then that absolutely sucks.
I mean, it's crazy because in our league, Ryan has both of them.
Yep.
And lucky for him, we're going into playoffs this week, and he got the bye.
Yeah, lucky guy.
This mother. I see you, Ryan.
Makes me mad. And in our Fantrax league, we're in the final week, and I'm in the 8th seed.
Yeah.
Which I'm clinging to by the skin of my teeth. I'm in there by technicality off of division wins.
The final playoff seed.
Yeah, and I need the win this week. And McDavid went out, and he's being owned by the other team.
Heroic.
Yeah, I'm really quite thrilled about that.
I believe it.
He also has is it Ekblad, who's out for 20 games with steroid use or whatever.
Yeah.
A forbidden substance, excuse me, not steroids. But whatever.
You know, I was actually doing some digging.
Oh, yeah.
And it goes even deeper than that, because if you win this week and you make the 8 seed, you're going to play the number 1 seed that has Draisaitl.
Wow.
Interesting. Could have a Cinderella story in the making here, folks. Buckle the hell up. I just picked up...
As the current owner of your first round pick, I'm a little upset about that.
Yeah, you couldn't... Yeah, I wasn't tanking. I have none of my picks left.
Jay, you got to be just praying on producer Austin's downfall, huh?
Yeah.
You are currently the owner of his first round pick.
I really haven't looked at that at all.
Yeah.
I just know he's a playoff team, but yeah.
That's true.
This NHL season has been as predictable as a puck rolling on its edge. No one knows where it's going. But that just means there's time for your favorite team to figure things out and games left for you to get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at nfl.com/terms.
Y'all see Trevor Zegras blame the slow start they had yesterday on the anthem?
I don't blame him, dude. This anthem was so bizarre.
I only saw a few seconds of it, so let's run the clip because, yeah, like I say, I only saw a few seconds of the
Please welcome 9-year veteran of the United States Marine Corps and former national recording artist, Staff Sergeant Bruce Gusto the Congas.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed?
That's unbelievable. That top comment, God forbid a white boy catch a vibe on the bongos. That's such a crazy anthem.
Michael Scott's version of the anthem.
It doesn't sound bad. It's just out of left field. It sounds pretty bad. I'm not going to lie.
It's not great. It's a really bizarre instrument choice.
Yeah,
especially with nothing to back it.
Yeah, the Star Spangled Banner. It does very well accompanied by a single instrument. It's just not typically bongos
or any singular percussion.
I don't blame. I'm with you. I don't blame Zegers for that. I really don't.
That made me do a double take. Like it's actually like a little bit soul churning. Like it just feels
kind of is
off. It's like uncanny.
Yeah, 100%. So
like that's not someone I'd want to see on my way back to my car. Like I feel like that would be a horror scene where you're like, you turn around, you're walking, and then you hear bongos, and they're getting closer, and then you turn around, and there's just this guy standing there. He stops playing. Then you turn around again, keep walking, and then there's like bongos again, and he's closer.
You're like, oh my god.
Yeah, and then you just start running, and
in a jersey that stands for Predator. Oh boy. Oh boy, indeed. Okay.
Horrid.
Well, Pat Maroon announces his retirement from the NHL at the end of this season. Soaks up the atmosphere in his last game in his hometown after the game. That was really nice to see.
Yeah, it was really nice. I mean, they took an L, and he was just, you could see the sadness.
Yeah.
But he was very appreciative to wrap it up and have a game in his hometown, which is really nice and a little tough. Not for me. Never been a big Maroon guy myself.
I'm aware.
Sorry. But Pat Maroon kind of just has always rubbed me the wrong way as a Devils fan. Had to see way too much of his stupid, ugly face.
Yeah.
But I tip my cap to a career well done.
3-time Stanley Cup champion, Pat Maroon. Good for him.
Yeah, a career well spent.
Yeah, 100%. Brendan Gallagher.
Yeah, this one is a really just a nice feel-good story. I saw, I've tagged the link here, Jay, if you want to pull it up. A Montreal fan offered their 2022 Hockey Fights Cancer jersey that he'd previously bought in an auction from the Habs after the game. Brendan Gallagher, in this game, had dedicated his jersey to his mom. On the little front panel, there's a sign that says, I fight for, and you get to write in who you fight for.
Right.
And he has mom on there. So this Habs fan has offered to give back his jersey following the passing of his mom earlier this year to her cancer battle, which is just such a class act and, such a beautiful thing. I just really wanted to highlight this because you don't hear about these type of stories too often, and that's just such a real beautiful gesture,
Wow, yeah. Lucy LeChance, was that the name there? Sent the tweet out, Dear Brendan Gallagher, I feel this jersey should belong to you. You wore it in warm-up 2022, just before they stopped making them. So this is very unique, like your mom was. If you want it, it's definitely for you to keep as a memory jersey. That's beautiful.
So Lucy is giving the jersey back, and just a beautiful, beautiful moment. Like that just hits right in the feels. That's such a all-time Canadian hockey moment.
Wow, that's really, really beautiful. 100%.
Yeah, I really just wanted to share that here.
100%.
It's like a feel-good way to really kind of smooth out this episode and into our hype for next week's freaking games. Also, speaking of the Blues, while we're like kind of segueing away from Pat Maroon,
sure,
they kind of been doing their damn thing this week. Like every team that we discounted last week has been balling out.
Yeah.
Aside from Columbus, whatever. Yeah, he is right.
No, the St. Louis Blues are playing some very good hockey, genuinely.
Yeah, they've made me look stupid.
Me too, 100%.
And they made the Oilers look goddamn stupid too. Why do we not hear more about this offer sheet stuff with Holloway and Broberg?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, those are 2 first-round picks that you lost for nothing.
Correct.
And look at where they are now.
You got to wonder if other teams like around the league are looking at that and going, "Oh, offer sheets are a good idea."
Yeah, it's a play. You know what?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to make some enemies when you want to win a chip. And
Do we have any big pending RFAs this year, Jay? I know Matthew Nyes is a pending RFA and does not have a new contract. That could be one people are looking to offer sheet.
If I was a GM, I would be very on top of if the cap space is there. If I'm the Blackhawks, I'm offer sheeting any one top talent.
Yeah.
What are you paying them? Because bet I got it.
Jake Ottinger.
I mean, it's not like the Hawks are short on their picks to pay for these players either, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of teams that have a lot of cap and a lot of picks that are probably foaming at the mouth.
There's a lot of RFAs coming up here.
Bowen Byram, Evan Bouchard. And you have to imagine like some of these players would be a smart offer sheet because their teams would be a little iffy on their growth. Like Bowen Byram, for example, would be a potential franchise-changing player. Do you offer sheet him?
You kind of have to find a team that's cap-strapped, though, right? That can't just match it. Right? Like, I'm looking at Gabe Vilardi out in Winnipeg, and that's an interesting one to me.
That's very interesting. I think that Mason McTavish out in Anaheim's interesting just because they aren't sold on him.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I wonder if that's a play coming up because the St. Louis they knocked it out of the park and they are killing it right now.
Alexander Holtz, Vegas. It's a cheap offer sheet. Very capable.
Yeah.
Probably third line winger.
I don't know if people are high on Holtz. I'm not.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not big on Holtz, but I know that he got more than I expected.
Yeah.
So, like, with that said,
Scott Lawton.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about this. Before we even dive into our games of the week, oh, how the trade tables do table. A video resurfaces of Scott Lawton being pranked on the 2023 trade deadline. That he was going to the Maple Leafs.
Should read that.
It out. Yeah, right. Oh, it's very hard, but
no. Elliot Friedman just reported you're going to Toronto.
No way. Come on.
I'm fucking with you.
Holy you fucking balls are in my throat.
T.O. like, no way, Elliot Friedman.
I thought you were going to go, yes, T.O. No, I'm kidding.
No fucking way.
Holy fuck. You fucking, I'm shaking still. I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go. I got better call Chloe.
Takes a heavy swig of the beer after, too. Maybe he did want out. I just thought that was kind of funny, you know. The team that they would prank him with is the team he actually ended up going to. So
where he actually landed. That is very funny.
How the tables do table.
Indeed, they do be tabling. Last up for this week. Well, actually, second last up, but pretty much last up. Wildcard update. We got a lot of games this week. These are the games. If you are a fan and you're wondering what to watch this week, you're not all the way in on March Madness. We got all the important games here for you, one per day basically on Tuesday. We have St. Louis, Montreal. St. Louis really looking to take a stranglehold on that wildcard one spot as we were just talking about. Montreal trying to do the same. They have been fantastic.
They've been sneaking away points in games they shouldn't, and they've been sneaking away 2 points in games they shouldn't. Jay was just bringing it up. They squeaked out the overtime, the late comeback against the Islanders, and then they have 3 unanswered against the Avs to squeak out another shootout loss. Like they're taking those points. They're in wildcard 2 by 1 point right now.
Yeah.
That's a team. I didn't predict them to hang around like this. I didn't see this type of dog in Montreal.
Nor did I, but they're so much fun to watch.
Absolutely. So definitely tune into that.
Calgary and the Rangers will both be in action on that night. The Islanders will be playing Vancouver on Wednesday. Neither one of them might make that race. But hey, it's a game to watch, and it should be one with high stakes. The Canucks today.
They kind of folded on themselves like a poorly made house of cards.
You know what, though? Like,
that was an interesting game.
I mean, you lose Pettersson halfway through it.
Yeah, to maybe a groin injury. It looked like he kind of got twisted up funny in front of the net.
And then you lose Höglander as well. That's 2/3 of your top line right now. You're already missing Hedl. So you're missing your top 2 centers and one of your top wingers. The shots are like 38-12, and you allow 5 goals. I mean,
you've got to buckle down. You have to find a way around that.
I don't know. I find it hard to blame them for that game. That's a game that if, like, literally any other time this season, you go, well, what are you going to do? You got Shesterkin. If you play that game 100 times, you're winning 99 of them.
I guess,
but the stakes are so high. I understand.
The stakes are so high, and you did get the scoring you needed. It's just that every time you got the scoring, it came right back down the other way and in the back of the net, and it's like, God, come on, man.
Because, like, Money Pucks Deserve to Win a Meter had them at, like, 97%.
Absolutely.
It's insane.
Just, like, 1 or 2 undisciplined plays, not picking up a player, not picking up a stick.
Yeah.
And it makes the difference. Like, it just did, you know?
That was just a dumb game. Like, I was mad after that game, and I'm very rarely actually mad after Canucks games. I'm usually just like, whatever, turn it off. I'm like a little upset about it or whatever. But like that game ended, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. There's no way they lost that hockey game. Whatever.
New York looked genuinely terrible for 40 minutes.
Yeah,
also,
100% they did.
They did not play good hockey.
That was brutal.
And all they did was slightly push the pace in the third, and there was no pushback.
They got and credit to Shesterkin. That was legitimately one of those cases where he steals you a game, because he did. Like, there was a lot of high danger chances that Shesterkin just swallowed right up. I mean, I don't know what are you gonna do.
No, absolutely. In the third, he looked phenomenal. He was sealing up all of the gaps.
Sometimes when you play an Igor Shesterkin, that's what's gonna happen to you. Devils on Monday. Amazon Prime. It's on Monday. It's on Prime.
Ain't that exciting? I don't care for the Prime games. I'm not gonna lie.
No?
I just find it a pain in the ass to like go and log into my Amazon and do it.
I think it's so insane how superior their picture quality is to Sportsnet.
I agree. It's just that I have Sportsnet for all of my other games, so unless that's the only game being played that night, like I'm more likely to just stay toggling between my 3 or 4 Sportsnet feeds.
Yeah. I don't know. Sportsnet could take a pointer or two from Prime.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Rogers could learn a lot from a lot of different companies. They've been
100%.
terrible lately. They're ruining hockey.
Yeah.
I don't even mind saying that. Like, they've been bad. They've been genuinely bad for hockey since they started taking over in such a massive way.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. No disagreements from me there.
Anyways.
Thursday, we have no actual wildcard on wildcard team action. However, Utah, Montreal, St. Louis, and Calgary all playing that day. Friday, we do have Vancouver versus Columbus. Again, those two teams, they might be scraping at that point. Columbus has been horrific, but you know what? That game could have been one with big stakes. Utah, Montreal, and the Rangers all in action for that one. Saturday, Calgary in action in the Battle of Alberta. Always a fun game, so I definitely have that one highlighted. That's a primetime game. Islanders, St. Louis, Columbus, Ottawa, the Rangers all going to be playing as well. Sunday night, you're going to have Vancouver, Montreal, Utah, and the Islanders all in action, not playing each other, but all playing. Monday, you're going to have Calgary playing in that prime game on Monday night.
Exciting stuff. I'm really excited to watch these Utah games. I've been really enjoying.
Brutal too.
The Utah games. They had a good one tonight against Tampa. They thumped them 6-4, and it could have been 8-4, but Tampa won 2 coaches' challenges.
And it was a necessity because they've been getting pumped all week. I mean, they looked good last Sunday against Vancouver, but they didn't even look that good. Vancouver just looked horrific. And then they got pumped by Edmonton. They needed a game like the game tonight against Tampa.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed that game, though. They looked like they had their stuff together a lot more. There was a lot less breakdowns on their behalf. There was still a ton of breakdowns. Tampa shouldn't have gotten back in that game in any capacity, and they did. But yeah, that those Utah games will be very, very juicy to watch. I'm also very excited to tune in to the Montreal games.
Yeah. Jay, you got a team you're most interested in watching this week?
That would definitely be the Montreal Canadiens as well.
Yeah, hard not to.
Shout out to my grandpa. Big Habs fan.
Okay. Okay. Some family ties.
Yeah, I was actually watching the Canucks Blues game with them on Thursday.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
It was a movie, honestly.
Shout out Grandpa Jay.
What you mean it was a movie?
It was a movie. Dude, Brock tying the game.
Yeah, that was unbelievable.
That was unreal.
Unbelievable.
And then, but you just knew they was about to lose it too.
Yeah. That whole sequence made me so frustrated. Of course, everyone online has to go sicko mode immediately. Oh, Pettersson giving it away. Oh, Pettersson giving it. That play was horrific by every player on the ice for Vancouver. Quinn, I don't blame Quinn Hughes because I can never blame Quinn Hughes, and he played like 58 out of the 60 minutes of hockey. But like, you pass it up to Pettersson, who has literally 3 people on him. Why give the puck to him when all 3 of them are right there? And then Pettersson the giveaway when you should just dump it in or pass it back to Quinn. That's brutal. And for some reason, Jake DeBrusk is like, well, now that we've just given up possession, I guess I'll go for this line change. And then boom, 2-on-1 the other way. Good night, game over. Really anticlimactic after a Brock Besser game tire with 2.7 seconds to go. That was old school. Shame.
Yeah, real disappointment. And how good has Brock Besser been lately? The bright spot in a very, very dull and dark Canucks.
Yeah, and he's been real bad over the last little while, and then just started popping off when they needed him the most. That guy has always been one of their most clutch performers. He still is. Last year, big goals. This year, big goals. If you're a playoff team that didn't go all in on him at the deadline, you got to be kicking yourself watching him score goals like that.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get why you wouldn't go for him. And quite frankly, I think that was kind of a kick in the ass and a wake-up call for him coming into his UFA year. He was like, oh, like, I might be looking at like a $3 or $4 million contract somewhere else if I don't actually start really working my ass off here to get to that 6 or 7 mark I want.
There's no way it's going to be that low. I think
that's an exaggeration. Yeah. But like,
he's looking for 8 or more in free agency.
I heard about the negotiations. I heard that like 7.5 was where he was at currently for like the 8 years. And it's like, that's a lot of money for like a long-term contract like that. I don't know, dog.
Yeah. I agree with you. All right, last up here for the day, we're gonna shout out a couple of listeners. We're gonna shout out a listener, a follower, a commenter, someone every single week on this channel from now on. I think we see y'all. We really appreciate y'all. We're gonna shout someone out every week.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to be shouted out on the show, then make sure to like and subscribe to the pod and turn on the little notifications bell if you're on YouTube. And then you got like double entries because we also will be pulling from the little notifications tab.
That's correct.
So make sure that you do both of those if you want to be shouted out on the show.
That's right. We actually have 2 people to shout out today. First one that we're doing. So we're going to shout out 2 of our listeners.
Seems fitting on episode 102.
It does indeed. First one, I want to shout out someone who I know for a fact listens to this podcast every single week. And, this dude will find me in my day-to-day life to reach out and talk about things from the episodes. And I just think that's so cool. And I really, really appreciate having listeners that are that loyal.
Absolutely.
So shout out to my guy, Wes. I don't have a username for Wes, but shout out to Wes.
You'll know who you are.
You will.
I've heard your appreciation for our show, and it's so appreciated.
Also, a current owner of Stick Talk merch. Very cool.
Yeah, very cool. Good taste. A man with good taste. I like that.
Second one from TikTok at despite.1350 on TikTok left my favorite comments of the week.
This one made me chuckle. I actually cackled when you sent this over.
It's phenomenal. It was on the video we posted about the Washington Capitals, maybe making a deep playoff run this year. And he commented, quote, "Predicting hockey is a fool's game. How about those 2012 LA Kings? What about those 65-win Bruins? Bouncy puck is mysterious."
Bouncy puck is mysterious might be like my online handle for my work email forever now.
Put it on a shirt. I mean, shout out to that. I loved that comment. Now I'm going to be real. You're wrong. Just for the record, 2012 LA Kings, I mean, that team was a wagon, and most people knew it. 65-win Bruins. What year was that, Jay, that they were the 65-win Bruins? Is that what we were just talking about?
The 2022-23 season.
Yeah, when they lost to the Panthers.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Yeah, the Panthers, who had just come off winning a President's Trophy the year prior and then went to 2 straight finals. Yeah, I don't know. The Bruins were on a PDO bender the entire season.
Could have predicted that upset.
Yeah, I mean, lots of people didn't, but then there were people that did. Don't know what to tell you.
I'm going to stop. I really don't think I saw anybody picking the Panthers. I'm not going to let this revisionist history make us think that was like a even hyped up series.
I didn't take the Panthers. Don't get me wrong. I definitely bought into the BS the Bruins were shoveling. But there's definitely people smarter than I who had the Panthers as a team to watch.
Yeah, like
I remember I had the Bruins in 5.
That's crazy.
I think
that's actually crazy.
I may have also had them in 5. However, though, like, it's not so much about that team in that series, right? Predicting hockey is one of those things where, like, I don't think you can just bet on one team to win everything. But I think if you bet on, and I don't mean literal, like, I'm not talking about gambling. If you're doing that, do it at DraftKings. But I just mean, like, when you're banking on things, like, banking on the elite teams isn't about picking someone to win an individual series. It's about picking sustainable teams with good form that can go long distances. And I never bought that with that Bruins team. Even though I didn't know that they were going to lose to Florida, or I didn't think they were going to lose to Florida. I didn't think that team was winning a cup either, though.
No, that's valid. It's like I would really love to believe in the Washington Capitals Cinderella story this year, but I also don't necessarily buy into it because, like, I don't see anything that makes me believe it long term, like the way the Panthers strike fear into my heart, like the way that the Avs do, like the way that, like,
I'm very concerned that the Caps are just this year's version of last year's Canucks.
They very well could be, and it would be a damn shame because I would love to see an Ovi second round, third round chase, you know?
Me too. Nothing I'd love more, honestly.
Yeah. But I mean, bouncy puck is mysterious.
It is, of course.
But predicting anything is, like, look at March Madness.
Yeah, 100%. And maybe it is a fool's game, but we are a bunch of fools.
Yeah, it's in our tagline. It's just a bunch of bozos talking hockey.
Amen.
You knew that when you sat down and pressed play, so hey.
Yeah, like, I can't even pretend like I actually know what I'm talking about either. I just listen to people who know what they talk about.
I listen to people that know what they talk about. I gather my own informed opinions, and more often than not, I'm right.
No, you're wrong a lot. But so am I.
But I'm still batting a good 500.
Yeah, maybe.
If we were like in the MLB, we'd be like Ohtani with 500.
No.
Think about that.
No. No. All right. We should get out of here. Whoa, real quick. Who you got winning the March Madness?
Oh, yeah. I have 2 teams because I made 2 brackets. One I made like realistically and one I made like wanting some fun, some Cinderella story magic.
Let's hear your dreams because the Cinderella story one, if it hits, you'll be a god.
I took Iowa State. They're a 3 seed. It's not like a super Cinderella story, but it's a team that not a lot of people have been looking at. And I was like, you know what?
Send it.
Sure.
I like it. Who you got in the other bracket?
I took Duke.
Duke.
Fan favorite at 25% to win. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll work them into a bracket just because.
I picked Duke, but then I realized that their big boy, Cooper Flagg, #1 pick projected. He's a big white dude, and so I see a big white dude, and I'm like, oh, must be from Serbia or the Middle East, somewhere nowhere in Eastern Europe. Nah, this dude's from Maine. So he's definitely a bust. That team's definitely going nowhere. I picked him, but ain't nobody from Maine leading a team to a championship. I'll tell you that.
You don't believe in the lobsters?
I love lobsters. We went to the keg the other night. I had the steak and the lobster. Ooh, it was good.
I believe it, and you know what? I believe in that lobster fisherman.
Yeah, you looked up NHL players from Maine. Brian Dumoulin, Rick DiPietro. Woof. Jay, who you got?
War Eagle.
Bunk.
Auburn. Let's get it.
Bunk.
Off to the Sweet 16 as we speak.
Auburn almost lost today.
They didn't really almost lose.
No, they didn't. They were down at halftime, and I was getting on my high horse about it.
I am amped. Man, when this episode comes out, Baylor will have already beaten Duke Sunday afternoon.
Do you think that's what's going to happen?
I just see it, man. Like, I even texted it my brother like a week ago. Like, I was just like, I see Duke falling.
I'm going to cry if I'm editing this episode tomorrow and that happens.
I pray to God. I also pray to God that they're not up like 20, but
we'll see.
But we'll see.
That's also why I actually picked Iowa State, was because I've done March Madness long enough. Like, I don't watch any NCAA.
No.
But I've done March Madness long enough to have a bias and a track record and spite towards certain teams that have ruined my bracket. Kansas Jayhawks always fuck me.
Yeah.
I had them as a first round exit. I was right. Florida Gators were a fan favorite to win.
Yeah.
I have them out in like the Sweet 16 because I just can't stand them. And like every time I've hedged a bet on them, they fail me.
All right.
And Duke, I just always watch fall apart every time that I put anything, any sort of stock into Duke. They absolutely fall apart on me. So I've just had enough. I was like, you know what? Leave it. Iowa State it is.
All right. Well,
shout out the Cyclones. That's what they are.
It is what they are.
I don't even know enough about college ball to know the team names.
They're also the school I play for in NCAA 25.
Yeah, I was about to say, don't you play football?
I do play some NCAA 25.
Yeah, I play some NCAA. Some CFB 25. But even then, I don't know. I know Clemson. That's the team my BA Pro plays for.
Yeah, mine plays for the Cyclones.
And Oregon. Shut out the Ducks.
I'm a safety or some shit.
All right, let's get out of here. It's like 2 a.m.
Yeah, whoops.
As always, I'm your host, Tico. This is my co-host.
I'm yours, Trilly.
Hey, over there's our producer.
Producer Jay.
Keep your dang head up.
Keep your head up.
Boom. War Eagle. Face bar.
Stick talk. Stick talk. Stick talk. Stick talk. Stick talk. Stick talk.